Hey there, baseball fans. Nathan Rohde and Shooter Hunt here, back with coffee and curveballs. Just finished up the 2021 Super 60, and Shooter, it lived up to the billing.
And you know what, Rody? It was like -5 outside, but it was heating up inside, especially those arms. I felt like everybody was throwing 95, 95, you're 95, you're 95. It was impressive.
You get a 95, you get a 95. -5 is actually what it warmed up to. It was -25 when you and I got up in the morning, but you're right. There was a lot of heat inside. Just an absolutely loaded roster, especially the arms. I mean, arguably, I don't know, arguably, we'll just say it. It was the best pitching that we've seen at the Super 60 ever.
Yeah, it was one after another. It was tough for me to get anything out on social media because the guys were so good. But especially starter upside for a lot of their guys there, and obviously the velocity was king.
Yeah, it certainly was. So, but really the big winner on the day was Braden Montgomery, who showed off in all facets of the game, set a Super 60 record, hitting 99 from the outfield. Similar swing with power from both sides of the plate. I mean, he's a big guy, so you would think he can get long, but he stayed pretty short. And then he hops on the mound and his 91, 94 was feel for secondary stuff. I mean, big day for him.
He was honestly like Steve Nebraska in the scout. Like he was hitting for both side home runs. He hops on the mound. He's 99. But the extension on the bump was really impressive to me.
Yes.
The fastball ride and run through the zone. Good feel for the breaking ball. Probably wasn't his best showing mid season of what that breaking ball will and can be.
Mm-hmm.
But also showed feel for a changeup. So 3 pitches there. Really good athlete. I thought he still looked young in the face, but with a thicker lower half. So there's a lot to dream on for him on the mound if he chooses to go that way. But a Stanford recruit, he's going to be one of the more intriguing draft prospects this spring.
Yeah, he certainly is. And you're right. You're right about that fastball getting on the plate. Best thing about Super 60 is I get right up in there behind the catcher and kind of see what it's like for a hitter. And that fastball got on real quick. So moving over to the position standouts, for me, the biggest winner positionally, Braden Montgomery's the overall guy, but just strictly as position player, Anson Arrows. I mean, just showed off across the board. We've always known that he's a really good defender. We talked about that barrel control that we saw at the area code games, but now coming out of the winter, he's clearly stronger, and that's showing up as impact at the plate.
And I think his confidence continues to grow. And all the position players there were really good. We could talk about each one, but I thought Arrows from both sides of the plate, just the way he handled the barrel, real accurate with it, kind of impacting from gap to gap. But defensively, the arm 82, 83 of the crouch, it's real clean, no cheat there from the crouch. But then even receiving, he had some big arms who's never caught before, and he's real quiet back there, snatching up, and he's just really gifted behind the plate.
He certainly is. And then Kendall Diggs is another guy that we're used to seeing show off his athleticism in the field and also at the plate. He had one of the loudest rounds for me. I mean, everything was right on the barrel, and maybe it was the bat, but I mean, it was an ear-piercing crack on just about every swing he took.
Yeah, he's just done it for 4 years now. It's almost tough to tweet or write about because you just expect it. He does it every single time out there, real relaxed and balanced, slows the game down, even in a setting where there's almost 100 scouts watching the outcome. But the power, his frame, he's really improved, gotten some strength on there. I think that's what's really going to separate him looking towards the draft. He worked out at third base. He's one of those hybrid guys who's probably going to be second base, third base, play the outfield. He's a 6'6" runner. So another one who draft time in July is going to be really fun to watch.
Indeed. And another guy that we're used to seeing big power out of, Vito Valencias. Talk about barrel accuracy. Everything this guy hit was on the barrel. And, I mean, obviously we were indoors, so you don't get like a true definition of that power, seeing balls clear the fence. But I don't know how many balls he actually would have stayed in the park during his rounds.
Well, I think one of the TrackMan was a 409 reading, one of the last volleys he hit, but he was hammering stuff. I think he's really improved the frame. It's gotten stronger. It's filled out nicely, moved well, especially in the 60 where he's probably a sub 7. But the movement of it looked athletic, which I was really happy to see. But obviously that power, that's what's taken his tools to another level. It's just his ability to hit from the right side. And we were talking a little bit about Blaze Jordan. Where does he fit in similar to Blaze Jordan? Well, we're going to get to see a lot of that this spring.
Yeah, we certainly will. And that power for him will show up because of that feel for hit that you talk about from the right side. But moving over to the pitchers, Brandon Clark, he's a guy that scouts were probably unfamiliar with, maybe just the name if they had, a deep enough, research. But he missed 2020 with Tommy John surgery. He's obviously back and healthy now. He was as advertised. 93, 94, just up to 95. The breaking ball was the question for me because we've really just seen bullpen workout video where, he's coming back from an injury, so you don't really get to see a whole lot, maybe a pitch or two. And that breaking ball was pretty sharp and nasty, and then he showed feel for a changeup as well. Big time arrow up next to him.
And after the breaking ball almost helped him find some fastball command after he hopped up there, a couple arm side rips down that breaking ball, and then everything was cruising from there. But obviously the velocity's there. Super athletic, gets down the mound, real clean and athletic. He's got starter potential on the upside. Oh man, Rhodey's an Alabama recruit. They were going to be sweating that one out for sure.
Yes, they definitely are. Another left-hander, Gavin Bruno, was up to 96. He was a guy I saw early last summer, really liked him. Modest fastball on the velocity, but he's a real competitor. Showed, a top-to-bottom breaking ball. This outing, we saw more of that slider action, 80-81, but obviously that fastball velo has ticked up for him.
Yeah, you can't teach left-handedness, and for him to hop on the bump, he's about 6'3", 205. Probably could have worked out with the position players because he's that good of an athlete. But to get up to 96, and it looks like he's placing the ball in the catcher's mitt, that's how far he gets out there. The slider has improved a little bit. I think he'll continue to make adjustments on that. He's a confident kid. He's a winner. I think the more that scouts get around him, the more they're going to like it. And shoot, when you sit down with your director and tell me this lefty's throwing 96 and he's a 6'3", 205, oof, it's an easy sell.
Yeah, it is. Speaking of easy sells, we've been hearing a lot from our Florida guys about a guy named Jose Pena. High expectations coming in, and he did not disappoint himself. Running the fastball up there, showing feel for a changeup. He's got the frame. Looks like just another big-time arm coming out of Sunshine State.
Hey, you know what? Talking to Jesse Litch, former big league pitcher, he was saying, "Oh, this wasn't even Pena's best stuff today." But I thought he had three of the best pitches there. It was clean. The ball jumped out of the hand. I did not want to step in the box at all to face him. Ooh, that changeup! It really profiled well off the fastball. And the breaking ball, I thought he spun it really well. But Jesse had told me that he spun it much better in the past. So, Rhodey, you're gonna have to go see him at some point this spring.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to get back down to Florida again after my trip down there this week. But those are some of the standouts positionally and as pitchers. Let's talk about some guys that are, seeing their stock up. Not necessarily surprises, guys we're familiar with, but clearly they're on that upward trajectory. For me, Shooter, it's one of your guys, George Isenhart from Pacific Northwest, right down the street from you. You're very familiar with him, seen him grow over the last few years. And I saw him at area code games, and I liked him, obviously the frame, the athleticism he's got out there on the mound, solid fastball, decent feel for the secondary stuff. He's clearly continuing to take more and more steps forward. He's been working out with guys like Mick Abel, Dylan McClain, so they're rubbing off on him. Obviously, it's an obvious starters package, and the upside for this guy is tremendous. I don't always say this. Xavier doesn't usually have to sweat their guys out. I think they might sweat this one out just a little bit.
Oh, no, there's definitely some buzz when guys were looking down at who's this kid from Oregon, Xavier, huh? Definitely some buzz from the scouts. But I thought George performed really well. Fastball explodes. It's really heavy. Talking to the catcher beforehand, make sure you roll that thumb over so you don't get it broken. But
yeah,
really good performance for another Oregon, another Northwest arm.
Yeah, exactly. So Will Rogers, again, another guy that we're familiar with. Area codes was a standout, hit a home run there. Really showed off kind of his all-around game. Aggressive hacks at the plate. Just love the the energy he has, and he just impacts that ball. It flies off the barrel, so there's obvious power there. And then behind the plate, just solid all around. Receives fine. It's an average to above average arm. He's got a good exchange, so he's I like the defense back there. So really interesting package for the Arizona State with him.
Yeah, we're big fans of his. I think it's actually lucked out kind of playing alongside Ian Mahler, who rightfully so has had many accolades and really good player in his own. But the two of them being together constantly allows the scouts to lock in on those two really talented catchers. But Will Rogers works real hard, big time arm behind the dish. I think he's only going to get better because I love his blue collar approach to the game and obviously that powerful bat from the right side.
And a similar name, if you will, William Cook out of Ohio, left-handed hitter committed to Louisville. I saw him last summer, and it's easy bat speed. You look at the frame, you think it's going to fill out and add some strength. And he was one of those guys that I saw the BP, I liked it. I was like, yep, I like this guy. It's what I saw last summer. But then, like, all of our coworkers who hadn't seen before are coming up to him and be like, what do you got on William Cook? Really liked his BP. What do you got on this guy? So he was definitely a popular BP.
Yeah, that barrel was in the zone forever from the left side. He was utilizing the whole field. Good frame. I think he's going to put on, shoot, 30, 40 pounds, would you say?
Oof.
But it's long and lean, probably a corner profile, played some third base. But Rody, you're right. Just the way he handled the barrel at the plate, he was not intimidated. He looked like a guy who goes to Louisville, and we're talking about him in 3 years as a potential top 2 round guy.
Excellent. Continuing on with some of that stock up idea, Shooter, the stock up on the entire state of Utah for you.
Whole state of Utah. They had 4 guys there, and I was blown away. It started right off the bat with Chandler Reba running 6'5", 60, and he was not getting cheated at the plate from the right side. Not the biggest frame, but he's kind of compact and strong. The ball jumped off the barrel. I like how he plays the game. And then a trio of big-time arms, Rody. I mean, talk about 95s. Cameron Day, quick arm. I think he's got starter potential. Jansen Kiesel, who was kind of a funky look, but was up to 95. And I probably would not have wanted to stand in him either with the way the ball was sinking a little bit. And then Colton Sunloff, I believe he's a Fullerton recruit, another low 90s guy. But shoot, Jeff Schulzen's got his hands full because Utah looks very promising. He's going to be there screaming from the mountaintops about how good the talent is.
Indeed. And then Ryan Schieffer was another arm that stood out for you. I mean, talk about quick arms. He was running it into the low 90s. I mean, just like everybody else, but he was definitely one that jumped out to you.
Yes, 6'3", 170. I guess he was this year's Sean Gilliams for me, where it's 6'3", 170. There's a lot more to come. Ball jumped out of the hand. He was up to 94. I mean, shoot, we had some of the RPM up in the 2,700 range on the fastball. 10-4 breaking ball, starter profile, Grand Canyon recruit. They've rolled out some really good arms recently. If he gets to campus, I think he's got massive upside there. But if not, somebody taking a chance who's expecting him to put on about 30 pounds, add some velo, they're going to get a good one.
Excellent. And then lastly for you guys, stock up a couple of New York natives, Gage Zeal and Roman Kimball, who's in South Carolina now at P27 Academy, but I think New York will be just fine claiming him.
You know what? I get a lot of Jersey bias on this show, Rody, but I got to give these New Yorkers their credit because Gage Zeal, Miami recruit, we've seen since he was a freshman, loved the arm, strong kid. He looked in really good shape. Ran it up to 95 with big time metrics on the fastball, or up to 94 with big time metrics. His breaking ball, though, his slider was dang near 3,000 RPM, and he was ripping them off really good. He's going to be able to get outs, as he always has. And then Roman Kimball, who might have my favorite fastball in this entire class. It has sizzle. I love when fastballs have sizzle. He's got the ride and run through the zone, up to 95. He's a Notre Dame recruit, just attacks the mitt, especially with that fastball, which I think he'll get some swings and misses with. But the New Yorkers did themselves well.
Yeah, they certainly did. So there you have it, a good look, a deeper look at the Super 60. If you haven't checked it out yet, we've got a roadshow episode up with some quick highlights from the Super 60. We got a hot list coming. Shooter's got articles coming. So be sure to stay tuned to prepbaseballreport.com for tons more coverage for Super 60 because we could talk about it for weeks, and we probably will. So as always, for Shooter Hunt, I'm Nathan Rohde. This was Coffee and Curveballs, and until next time, we'll see you guys at the ballpark.